The House of Representatives on Tuesday called on the leadership of the National Assembly to intervene in the crisis surrounding the swearing-in of new members of the Plateau State House of Assembly. Recall that the crisis erupted after the swearing-in of some members-elect, while others were being denied the opportunity, despite meeting all the legal requirements. The Court of Appeal had also nullified the certificates of return of 16 sitting members and ordered the issuance of new certificates to the new members. The call by the House followed a motion by Honorable Ahmed Idris Wase during plenary in Abuja. Moving the motion, Wase highlighted the crisis in the State Assembly, noting that despite meeting legal requirements, some members-elect have not been sworn in, while the others have been sworn in by the Speaker. According to him, it is a denial of democracy and a threat to security in the state. He therefore urged the National Assembly leadership to intervene and ensure equity, fairness and justice in the Plateau State House of Assembly. He said that the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly has refused to swear in all the new members, instead demanding that they submit letters of resignation with accompanying court affidavits as a condition for swearing in. What is your immediate reaction?
I sympathize with those 16 members who are finding it difficult to find their way to the assembly, despite coming out victorious like the Court of Appeal. You know, sometime 2019, if my memory serves me right, a similar thing played in Edo State, where some persons, when the governor proclaimed the assembly, at a very unusual time of the day, and some persons were sworn in by the clerk, and then the speaker elected. And since that assembly ran its tenure, the remaining members were not allowed to come in by way of swearing them in by the speaker. The laws are clear. It is the speaker upon the proclamation of the assembly. Once the members sit, elect a speaker, the proceedings of that assembly is on the speaker, until that speaker is changed by a two-thirds majority of votes by the members of that assembly. Now, these 16 persons are finding it difficult because the speaker has refused to do so. I think what they should be doing, yes, the law provided for where there is a crisis in the state assembly and it's practicable for them to carry out the business of lawmaking. The law provides that the National Assembly, by a resolution of not less than two-thirds, can take over the affairs of that House of Assembly. But the circumstances that were around that action, it was never contemplated that issues like this will arose when the law was being made. So issues like this will call for rethinking or tinkering with the sections that has to do with the National Assembly taking it. But if I were to advise them, it is not the State House of, the National House of Rep that can remedy the situation.
Okay, what's the way forward?
The way forward is simply for them to go to court and come asking for a mandamus.
Okay.
Now, remember, the Court of Appeal decision is to the effect that certificate of return be issued. There is no direct provision or order of court that these persons be sworn in. Now, with these legal documents on their hands, certificates of return, and the decisions of the Court of Court, they can institute an action compelling the speaker.
You call it an
order of mandamus, yes, to perform his action.
That's to mandate.
Mandating, yes, it's mandatory.
To force the speaker to swear them in.
The speaker is not under any immunity, so once that order is gotten, he will be compelled by law to do so. And where he fails to do so, the law has a way of dealing with persons who go contrary to the decisions of court.
No, I'm talking about the law. In Nigeria, I mean, even institutions have been flaunting court orders.
Yes.
Do we go to EFCC or do we go to DSS? I mean, even elected officials have been flaunting court orders over and over again, and there are no consequences.
There are those.
What makes you think that if they get this order of mandamus, like you said, it's going to compel the speaker to swear them in?
I speak with the
when
intention
there
that
is already a
I
precedent
speak.
of flaunting court orders.
I
in this
speak
country.
with the impression or with the mindset that we operate a constitutional democracy, and therefore where no one is above the law. I do not have those.
Can we speak considering the Nigerian reality?
Yes.
Because there is a clear difference when you say constitutional democracy, granted, and Nigerian reality.
The reality in Nigeria, yes, some persons claim to be or have been presenting themselves to be above the law. Is because of the system somehow do not respect the rule of law. But I do not see that the capacity or the likes of the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly to the extent that a court order is given, he will flaunt it. I do not see, because
the same has played out in Abia State when a lawmaker cried out.
Yes, our democracy.
He won at the court,
yes,
and the court said certificates of return should be issued to him, which was already done, but the Speaker refused.
That's what I'm saying.
Swear him in.
Yes, the Speaker refusing to carry out his action. See, there are ways of activating these things. If you are not informed, you may not know the right procedure. It is not by crying out. There are those who have activated those procedures and they have found themselves reaping from the system.
Okay.
Now, if there is a process to compel the Speaker to perform his job, and in this circumstance being specific, swear in these so-and-so persons having satisfied the requirement of the law, where he fails, then we can now come back to cry that although an order was given, he has failed to, because for what the Speaker is acting, it is political. Political in the sense that if he swears in these 60 members, he will lose his seat. And so it is that fear that has compelled him not to take out, to carry out his functions properly. And it's an impeachable offense for him not to have done so. So it is only the court that can set right.
So now the thing is, for the Speaker, it's an existential crisis that he's facing.
Yes.
If he swears them in.
Yes, the majority will take over the day. That is his fear, and he's not far from it. But what can remedy? Who can remedy? The governor can remedy by way of executive influence. But that influence will not come because it will be to the detriment of the governor to have the 16 persons take over the functions of the assembly. Will bring in a crisis, because look at what is happening in Rivers State, or what happened in Rivers State some months ago, where the assembly is on a different route with that of the executive. Ordinarily, they should be working hand together.
Same thing might play out in Plateau State.
In Plateau State, if this 60%, yes, because unless they may have a rethink of their actions, because when it comes to developing the state, where you come from ordinarily should not bother you. Political party, where you're coming from, should not bother you. But what should bother you should be the interests of the state. So if I'm called upon as a lawmaker to make laws, but if the executive brings a bill that has to do with the interests of the people, I should jettison political parties' affiliation, jettison where I'm coming from, and look at the merit of that particular bill. It is not to the advantage of the governor that the governor constructed how many number of roads. How are those roads beneficial to the people? Was I an instrument in achieving those things? That should be paramount.
Well said. Now, talking about the people with respect to the crisis going on in Plateau State, you agree with me that whatever plenary they are having, certain constituents are not being represented at all.
Yes.
Now, where do the people fit into in the grand scheme of things? Because apparently, either the people are unaware of the fact that they are not being represented and they don't have a voice in the government, or there is a lack of knowledge and clear apathy to the politics in the state. Because, I mean, apart from these lawmakers crying out, the people can actually make the Speaker do what is right, because they are not being represented.
Yes.
So if the people mount pressure, the Speaker would have no choice but to swear in their representatives, because those people, the lawmakers who they've not sworn in right now, are lawmakers by the reason of the mandate of the people they are representing. And this appears to always be the case over and over again. And you see, when there are issues in the State House of Assembly, the constituents are unaware. Either they are unaware or they are even fighting they are fighting for parties that do not even represent their interests.
I agree. There is I will not use the word apathy. I will rather use the word nonchalant attitude of the masses. It is not.
Do they even know?
It is not. Yes, the knowledge, where the awareness is not there to a relative extent. Then the nonchalant attitude to those who are even aware is also there. Then, if you look at it directly, members, upon being elected, the Constitution only provided for a duty. It is not obligatory. It is only a responsibility, social responsibility, that I go out on election day and vote. It is not obligatory in the sense that there is no penalty if I don't go out.
Yes.
That is why we have this apathy in our political environment. If the law can make it mandatory for every adult to have his or her permanent voter's card and participate in an election, these things will be different. But having carried out that constitutional responsibility placed on you by going out to vote, now the onus is now on the elected member to carry out his own assignment as voluntarily given to him by the constituent. Now, the masses are not represented because the person we appointed by way of election to represent us, the Speaker has refused him coming. Then what are the windows available in a democratic system of government? Can a protest bring this to limelight? Shutting down the assembly, going to protest at the assembly quarters, will it make the Speaker to swear in these persons?
Do you think it will?
I do not think so in the light that the Speaker is acting, because if they shut down the assembly, remember, they can reconvene in any environment where the governor pleases. The governor might even ask them to come and sit in government house where there is enough security and no one is willing to lay down his life for someone to go in there. The person that that are beneficiaries to these things may not even come out, their family will not even come out to support them in the protest. So this knowledge must be made known. But yes, if we are to be in a civilized society, ordinarily these issues wouldn't be coming out. But even though they do, the masses will have a role to play. The person involved also have a role to play. But the bulk of the blame, the bulk of the actions lies with the representative to take the appropriate action.
Which is the order of mandamus.
Which is the order of mandamus.
So now, in your opinion, the reps actually do not necessarily have anything to do.
They do not. The coming of is more of advisory.
Emergency, correct?
Not the state of emergency.
No, for when reps will intervene.
National Assembly, in the circumstance, most times it lies with the Senate. The Senate takes over the actions of the State Assembly. Not necessarily where the state of emergency is declared. So in this place, what do you think the reps would do in this? You said they will play only an advisory role. It's more of an advisory role where they will, yes, by way of emotion, move, debate over it, and if the House agrees that they write the Speaker, they will do so, but it is not compelling.
It will not, so the Speaker can decide to disregard.
Yes, can act, and I believe there are so many persons who have given that advice for the general good of the people. Please swear in these persons. But he's trying to protect his himself, his office, and maybe to a relative extent that of the governor. Because if the governor is not in support of his actions, I do not think these things will fly. Yes.
Right.